If this is what Islam has brought us in the last 45 years, we're not interested. We want to know what the...
In the heart of the Islamic Republic of Iran, an extraordinary spiritual revolution is unfolding. Reports reveal that nearly 1 million Muslims have embraced Christianity, leading to the unprecedented closure of tens of thousands of mosques. This dramatic shift has sent shockwaves across the nation, sparking intense debates about faith, freedom, and the universal search for hope. For over 4 decades, Iran has lived under strict Islamic rule, grappling with poverty, corruption, and deep social issues. However, amidst these challenges, a growing number of Iranians are finding solace and transformation in the message of Jesus Christ. What's fueling this mass exodus from Islam? How has it reshaped the landscape of religion in one of the most unexpected places on earth? Stay tuned as we uncover this incredible story of faith and resilience. According to Todd Nettleton from The Voice of the Martyrs, Iran has one of the highest drug addiction rates in the world. Corruption is rampant, and more than half of the population lives below the poverty line. Many Iranians are questioning the effectiveness of the Islamic theocracy that has ruled their country for the past 45 years. In this context, the desire for something more, something hopeful, has led many to explore other faiths, including Christianity. A December survey by the Netherlands-based Gaiman Institute found that 80% of Iranians reject the Islamic Republic and desire a democratic government. This widespread dissatisfaction has opened the door for a significant number of Muslims to turn to Jesus Christ. The reported conversion of 1 million Muslims to Christianity is a sign of this deep disillusionment with the current regime. These new believers are often drawn to the Christian message of love, forgiveness, and a personal relationship with God, concepts that stand in stark contrast to the harsh realities of their lives under Islamic rule. Matthew 11:28-30 resonates deeply with many in this situation. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." These words of Jesus offer hope to those who feel crushed by the weight of their circumstances. The Iranian government, deeply entrenched in its Islamic ideology, views the growing number of conversions to Christianity as a direct challenge to its authority. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is not just frowned upon, it is illegal. The regime considers it an affront to the very fabric of the Islamic Republic. This has led to a harsh crackdown on those who dare to leave Islam and embrace Christianity. Reports indicate that Iranian authorities regularly raid Bible studies and house churches, which are the primary gathering places for these new Christians. In these raids, everyone present is photographed and interrogated, but the leaders are often singled out for harsher treatment. They are arrested, detained, and subjected to intense pressure to renounce their faith. Many face long prison sentences where they endure torture and abuse. The persecution doesn't stop at imprisonment. Christians in Iran are often kept under strict surveillance even after their release, knowing that any further involvement in Christian activities could lead to another arrest, this time with potentially more severe consequences. The government's intent is clear: to intimidate and crush any form of dissent, ensuring that Islam remains the dominant and unchallenged faith in the nation. This level of persecution fulfills the warning Jesus gave in Matthew 10:22. "You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." Iranian Christians live this reality daily, standing firm in their faith despite the hatred and persecution they face. Family members and friends of these converts often face their own pressures as they are questioned by authorities and ostracized by their communities. However, many are surprisingly tolerant, with some even expressing relief that their loved ones have found something that brings them peace and purpose, even if it is not Islam. This reaction is a subtle but significant sign of the growing disillusionment with the regime and its religious ideology. Yet, for many new believers, the choice to follow Christ is made with the full knowledge that it could cost them everything. Luke 14:27 speaks to this commitment. "And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple." These Iranian Christians are carrying their crosses, showing incredible courage and resilience in the face of persecution. Despite the regime's efforts to suppress this movement, the gospel continues to spread. The more the government tries to stamp it out, the more it seems to flourish. Much like the early church described in Acts 8:1-4, where persecution led to the spread of the gospel far and wide. The Iranian government's attempts to silence Christianity are backfiring, leading to an even greater hunger for the truth of Jesus Christ among the people. Interestingly, many Iranians are encountering the Christian faith through international media, such as the Tide Ministry's radio broadcasts, and through personal experiences like dreams and visions. Don Shank, executive director of the Tide, reports that Muslims are responding to the gospel message because it presents a God who loves them, a stark contrast to the punitive image they may have grown up with. Joel 2:28 speaks to this phenomenon. "And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions." This verse is being fulfilled as countless Muslims across Iran and the Muslim world are having dreams that lead them to Christ. What's happening in Iran is just one part of a larger movement across the Muslim world. Reports indicate that similar conversions are taking place in countries like Afghanistan, Yemen, and even Saudi Arabia. The Spirit of God is moving in powerful ways, breaking down barriers and leading people to the truth of the gospel. John 14:6 emphasizes the exclusive claim of Jesus Christ. Jesus answered, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." This message is resonating with many who are seeking a new path, one that leads to hope and eternal life. The rise of Christianity in Iran, despite the dangers and challenges, is a testament to the power of the gospel. As more and more Iranians turn to Christ, the regime is faced with a growing movement that it cannot easily suppress. This Jesus revolution is a beacon of hope in a nation that has long been under the shadow of oppression. As believers, we are called to support our brothers and sisters in Iran through prayer and advocacy. Hebrews 13:3 reminds us, "Continue to remember those in prison as if you were together with them in prison, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering." Let us stand with them in faith, believing that God's light will continue to shine in the darkest places. In Iran, despite stringent government efforts to suppress religious dissent, a quiet yet powerful movement is unfolding. Underground churches and digital platforms have emerged as hubs of Christian worship and education, allowing faith to thrive in a hostile environment. This remarkable growth is not merely a form of social or political rebellion, but is rooted in something far deeper. According to Todd Nettleton, the expansion of Christianity in Iran is driven by more than dissatisfaction with the prevailing system. It is fueled by the unique attraction of the Christian faith itself. Converts often highlight Christianity's emphasis on compassion, forgiveness, and a personal relationship with God. These elements profoundly appeal to individuals burdened by the weight of their past religious experiences. For many Iranians, the teachings of Jesus Christ offer a profound sense of hope and empowerment. Unlike the rigid, state-enforced version of Islam that dominates public life, Christianity offers a radically different path. One of the most moving passages for those seeking solace is found in the Gospel of Matthew 11:28-30, where Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. These words resonate deeply with those who have endured years of suffering and oppression. They promise not only comfort, but also freedom, a reprieve from life's heavy burdens and an invitation to find true peace. In a nation where hardship and control are ingrained into daily existence, these words feel like a lifeline. The beautiful promise of rest and lightness in Christ is something that many Iranians have longed for, but could not find in their previous experiences. Christianity has become more than just a religion. It represents personal freedom and a way to reclaim dignity and purpose within a system that has often abandoned its people. For those who have spent decades struggling under the weight of economic hardship, corruption, and spiritual emptiness, the message of Jesus Christ offers a fresh start, a way to breathe again. Iran has faced significant adversity for decades. Economic challenges, including widespread poverty, unemployment, and inflation, have taken a toll on the nation. Government corruption has further eroded public trust, while the country struggles with one of the highest rates of drug addiction globally. These societal issues have deeply shaken the faith of many Iranians. The state-enforced version of Islam, once seen as a source of justice, dignity, and moral guidance, has left many feeling betrayed by a system that has failed to fulfill its promises. In this context, Christianity stands out as a beacon of hope. Its focus on love, forgiveness, and grace offers a powerful counterpoint to the harsh realities of daily life. More importantly, the Christian faith introduces a God who seeks a personal relationship with his followers, a God of compassion rather than control. This personal connection is especially meaningful for those who feel spiritually abandoned or disillusioned. It is no surprise that so many Iranians are drawn to this message, finding in it a sense of freedom, hope, and belonging that had previously been missing. However, this quiet revolution has not gone unnoticed. The Iranian government views the rise of Christianity as a direct threat, not only to its religious authority, but also to its entire political system. In Iran, religion and politics are deeply intertwined, with the regime relying on Islam as a tool to maintain control over the population. Any movement that challenges this connection is seen as a significant threat to the state's power. As a result, the government has responded with forceful and repressive measures. Underground churches are routinely raided, Christian converts are arrested and imprisoned, and public expressions of faith are strictly monitored. The regime's fear is clear. If people find hope and meaning outside the state's version of Islam, its grip on power will weaken. Christianity offers a vision of life that is not dependent on the government's authority, a life built on faith, love, and the promise of salvation. For a regime that relies on spiritual and political dominance to maintain control, this is a dangerous prospect. Yet, despite these risks, the movement continues to grow. The resilience of Iranian Christians in the face of persecution is both humbling and inspiring. They gather in secret, relying on digital platforms, private homes, and whispered conversations to share their faith and support one another. This movement is defined by courage, faith, and an unwavering commitment to the truth of the gospel. Becoming a Christian in Iran is a perilous decision that often comes with great personal sacrifice. Converts risk losing their jobs, being ostracized by their families, and facing imprisonment or worse. Despite these challenges, many believe the reward outweighs the risk. Christianity offers a hope and a freedom that cannot be found elsewhere, a promise of eternal life and a relationship with a God who loves unconditionally. For these believers, the risks are worth it because they have experienced a transformation too profound to ignore. Their faith is not merely a private matter, it is a declaration of hope, a rejection of a system that has failed them, and an embrace of the truth they have found in Jesus Christ. The steady growth of Christianity in Iran serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of faith in the face of adversity. It also challenges those who live in countries where religious freedom is taken for granted. While Iranian Christians risk everything to worship and follow Jesus, many of us enjoy the freedom to practice our faith openly and without fear. This contrast should inspire deep gratitude and reflection. How often do we take our freedom for granted? How often do we neglect the incredible blessing of being able to gather, worship, and share our faith without persecution? The courage of Iranian Christians serves as an example for believers around the world. Their unwavering commitment to their faith, despite the risks, reminds us of the true cost of discipleship. It challenges us to live with greater boldness, compassion, and purpose in our own lives. As the Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Timothy 3:12, "Everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will be persecuted." For Iranian Christians, this truth is not theoretical, it is a daily reality. Yet their faith remains strong, their hope unwavering, and their love for Jesus undeniable. As Christians, we are called to support our brothers and sisters who face persecution worldwide. One of the most powerful ways we can do this is through prayer. The Bible reminds us in James 5:16 that the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. While we may not stand beside Iranian Christians physically, we can lift them in prayer, asking God to strengthen, protect, and encourage them in their faith. We can pray that the gospel will continue to spread throughout Iran, bringing hope and salvation to those who do not yet know Jesus. We can pray for wisdom and courage for those leading underground churches and sharing Christ's message in such dangerous circumstances. Let us also pray for those who oppose Christianity, that their hearts may be softened and transformed. God's love and grace are powerful enough to reach even the hardest hearts. As Jesus said in Matthew 19:26, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." Let us trust in the power of prayer and believe that God is working in Iran, even in the midst of persecution and hardship. As we reflect on the incredible faith and resilience of Iranian Christians, let us also examine our own lives. Are we living with the same boldness and commitment to Christ? Are we sharing the hope of the gospel with those around us? Are we grateful for the freedom we have to worship and follow Jesus without fear? These questions should challenge and inspire us to live out our faith with greater passion and purpose. Let us remember the courage of our brothers and sisters around the world and commit to standing with them in prayer and support. May their example strengthen our own walk with Christ, and may God's light continue to shine brightly in even the darkest places.
Many Iranians are becoming disillusioned with the Ayatollah.
A revolution is underway in parts of the region, a Jesus revolution. An unprecedented number of Muslims are forsaking Islam and choosing to follow Christ, especially in
of the Ayatollahs and a nation led by the empty promises of their Islamic.
A profound transformation is sweeping across Iran, a Jesus revolution. Millions of Muslims are turning away from Islam and embracing Christianity in numbers never seen before. Imagine this: churches overflowing with worshipers, while attendance at mosques dwindles. This isn't just a rumor. It's a reality shaking the very foundations of the Islamic Republic. Over 10 million people are defying centuries-old traditions, making a bold and unexpected choice to follow Christ. What's driving this dramatic shift? Could this unprecedented surge in Christianity signal the unraveling of radical Islam? Stay tuned, because the truth behind this movement is absolutely mind-blowing, and it's a story you don't want to miss.
Today, the news is full of the threat of war in the Middle East. At the same time, a revolution is underway in parts of the region, a Jesus revolution.
Although the official figure is that around 1 million Muslims in Iran have converted to Christianity, many independent sources and experts believe that the actual number could be much higher. Some reports even estimate that the actual number of converts exceeds 10 million, suggesting that a strong underground Christian movement is taking place across the country. This not only reflects a profound change in beliefs and thinking, but is also a sign of a spiritual revolution that is spreading at an unprecedented pace. Could this be the beginning of a new era for Iran? When most people think of Iran, Christianity is not the religion that immediately comes to mind. As the largest Shiite Muslim state in the world, Iran is deeply rooted in Islamic traditions and known for its strict enforcement of religious principles. The country's Islamic Republic has built its foundation on the principles of Shiite Islam, enforcing conformity with an iron grip. However, beneath this surface of strict theocratic control, an unexpected and profound transformation is quietly unfolding. A surge in conversions from Islam to Christianity is reshaping Iran's religious landscape and challenging the very foundations of its theocratic regime. For decades, the government of Iran has tightly controlled religious expression, often punishing dissenters harshly. Institutions like the infamous morality police, tasked with enforcing Islamic laws, have employed oppressive measures to maintain religious conformity. One such example is the international outcry following allegations of a morality police officer shooting a woman for violating mandatory hijab laws. Such incidents highlight the rigid enforcement measures that characterize the regime. Despite these efforts, dissatisfaction with the status quo is widespread, and cracks in the religious and political system are becoming increasingly apparent. Signs of this dissatisfaction are striking. Reports indicate that approximately 50,000 of Iran's 75,000 mosques have closed due to declining attendance. This statistic alone signals a broader crisis of faith within the country. Senior Iranian cleric Mohammad Abul Qasim recently attributed the closures to a significant decline in patronage, reflecting a growing disconnect between Iranians and the religious institutions that underpin their society. This disillusionment correlates with another staggering development. An estimated 1 million Muslims in Iran have embraced Christianity. The scale of this shift is so significant that the term Jesus Revolution has been used to describe the phenomenon. According to a joint study conducted by the Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, and the international radio ministry The Tide, around 1 million Iranians have accepted Christ. This is not merely a statistical anomaly, but represents a profound cultural and spiritual shift. The reasons behind this movement are deeply intertwined with Iran's political, social, and economic struggles. For many, Christianity offers a stark contrast to the authoritarian and punitive nature of the Islamic regime. It provides a message of hope, love, forgiveness, and a personal connection to God, principles that resonate deeply with those disillusioned by decades of oppression. The challenges facing Iran's population are manifold. Todd Nettleton, a voice of the martyrs, highlights some of the key issues. Iran suffers from some of the highest drug addiction rates in the world, widespread corruption, and a population where over half live in poverty. For many Iranians, these systemic failures have tarnished the appeal of Islam as practiced under the current regime. Economic hardship has been particularly significant in driving dissatisfaction. Years of international sanctions, coupled with government mismanagement and corruption, have devastated the economy. The resulting poverty has left many Iranians questioning the promises of the Islamic theocracy. A recent survey conducted by the Netherlands-based Gaman Institute found that 80% of Iranians desire a democratic government, rejecting the Islamic Republic in its current form. This widespread disillusionment with political Islam has created fertile ground for exploring alternative spiritual paths. In this context, Christianity has emerged not just as a religion, but as a symbol of liberation, both spiritually and socially. The faith's emphasis on personal freedom, democracy, and human rights, often associated with Christian-majority nations, appeals to those yearning for equality and autonomy. For many, converting to Christianity is more than a spiritual choice. It is a deeply personal act of resistance against a regime that tightly intertwines religion and politics. Unsurprisingly, the Islamic leadership in Iran has responded harshly to the rise of Christianity. Conversion from Islam is strictly forbidden, and apostates often face severe punishments, including imprisonment and even death. The government's attempts to suppress Christianity are part of a broader strategy to maintain control over the population. Yet, despite the risks, the movement continues to grow. Underground churches and digital platforms have become hubs for Christian worship and education, providing a safe space for believers to practice their faith and connect with others. The internet, in particular, has played a crucial role in spreading Christian teachings and offering support to new converts. Todd Nettleton notes that the appeal of Christianity in Iran goes beyond dissatisfaction with Islam. Converts often cite the religion's emphasis on compassion, forgiveness, and personal connection to God as key factors in their decision. For many, the teachings of Jesus offer a sense of hope and agency that was absent in their previous religious experiences. In a society weighed down by systemic injustice and broken promises, the message of Jesus stands out as a beacon of light. The words from Matthew 11:28-30 resonate deeply. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." These verses are not just comforting. They are a bold promise of peace and relief for people who have endured years of hardship. For many Iranians, Christianity offers exactly what they have been searching for, a sense of freedom and solace in a system that seems to have abandoned them. In a country where oppression and hardship have become part of daily life, Christianity is becoming more than just a religion. It is a symbol of personal freedom and a way to push back against a regime that ties religion and politics so tightly together. Turning to Jesus is, for many, like finding a way to breathe again. The rise of Christianity in Iran reflects a broader shift in the nation's social and spiritual landscape. It is a response to the failures of the Islamic regime, as well as a testament to the resilience and courage of those seeking a better life. The movement is not just about rejecting one religion for another. It is about embracing a new way of life, one rooted in hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future. This transformation is happening quietly, but its impact is profound. As the movement grows, it is reshaping Iran's religious identity and challenging the very foundations of its theocratic government. For a country that has long been defined by its Islamic traditions, the rise of Christianity represents a significant cultural shift. It is a reminder that even in the face of oppression, faith and hope can flourish. In Iran, the Jesus Revolution is more than a spiritual awakening. It is a powerful statement of resistance and a testament to the enduring human spirit. Iran's government has built its power and legitimacy on a strict interpretation of Islam, wielding religion as a foundation of political and social control. However, a growing number of Iranians are embracing Christianity, a choice that transcends personal faith. In a country where religion is deeply intertwined with state authority, converting to Christianity has become a quiet but profound form of resistance. By adopting a faith that directly challenges the regime's narrative, these converts are making a statement. They are rejecting a system that has failed them for decades. For many Iranians, the cracks in the system are impossible to ignore. Widespread poverty, rampant government corruption, and one of the highest rates of drug addiction in the world have left the nation disillusioned. The promises of justice, dignity, and prosperity through the regime's interpretation of Islam have rung hollow for millions. In this context, Christianity offers a starkly different message. Its teachings on love, forgiveness, and hope stand in sharp contrast to the harsh realities of daily life under the Iranian regime. Christianity's emphasis on a personal relationship with God, one founded on compassion rather than control, feels like an antidote to the pervasive despair many Iranians experience. the allure of Christianity has not gone unnoticed by the Iranian government. To the regime, the growing number of Christian converts represents a dual threat, a challenge to its religious authority and a potential destabilizer of its political power. In response, the government has launched an aggressive crackdown. Underground churches are frequently raided, Christian converts are arrested, and public expressions of faith are closely monitored. The regime's fear is palpable. If people find hope and meaning outside the state's version of Islam, the foundations of its control are at risk. Despite these dangers, the movement toward Christianity continues to grow. Many converts rely on digital platforms and secret gatherings to practice their faith and support one another. It is a quiet revolution, but one marked by determination and resilience. Government efforts to suppress the movement have only highlighted the courage of those involved. Across Iran, new Christian converts share their transformative experiences with friends and loved ones, carefully navigating the risks that come with their newfound faith. For these believers, safe spaces are essential. Hidden house churches and discreet Bible study groups offer a sense of community and refuge. These gatherings, often consisting of no more than 10 to 15 individuals, take place in modest apartments or unassuming homes. The secrecy is meticulous. As the final attendee arrives and the door locks, a collective sigh of relief fills the room. For a brief moment, they find peace and solidarity in their shared faith. However, this fragile sense of safety is frequently shattered by government raids. Authorities execute these operations with military precision, targeting leaders who are seen as the linchpins of these underground networks. Arrested without warning, these leaders face severe punishment, including detention in facilities designed to break their spirit through solitary confinement, torture, and relentless psychological pressure. The government's objective is clear: to force these believers to renounce their faith and return to Islam. Detainees endure harsh conditions, cut off from family, legal aid, and any semblance of fairness. They are often charged with vague offenses such as acting against national security. Even after completing their sentences, the nightmare persists. Released converts are placed under strict surveillance, their every movement and communication monitored by a regime that views them as ongoing threats. Yet, despite these risks, the appeal of Christianity continues to grow. For many Iranians, the teachings of Jesus offer a message of hope and liberation in a society marred by injustice, corruption, and oppression. The regime's fear-driven tactics may aim to suppress this spiritual movement, but the numbers tell a different story. Christianity is quietly gaining ground, providing a glimmer of hope in a nation yearning for change. This shift resonates deeply with the words of Jesus in Matthew 10:22. "You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." For Iranian Christians, these words hold profound significance. They endure unimaginable persecution, yet remain steadfast in their faith, their courage shining brightly in the face of constant threats of violence, imprisonment, and worse. Interestingly, while the government responds with harsh repression, many friends and family members of converts exhibit a more understanding attitude. As Todd Nettleton of the Voice of the Martyrs explains, their perspective often shifts to one of acceptance. If you've discovered something that works for you, whether it's Jesus, atheism, or anything else, that's great. I just know Islam doesn't work, so I'm glad you found something else that does. This pragmatic approach highlights the growing disillusionment with the regime's religious and political narrative. This grassroots spiritual movement is not confined to Iran. Don Schenk, executive director of the Tide Ministry, emphasizes that Iran represents just one part of a larger trend sweeping across the Muslim world. Similar movements toward Christianity are emerging in other Islamic countries, signaling a deeper, irreversible shift fueled by a longing for freedom, truth, and hope. One striking aspect of this phenomenon is the role of dreams and visions of Jesus, reported by many Muslims. These experiences often mark the beginning of profound spiritual journeys. While they do not always lead directly to conversion, they frequently help individuals navigate deeply ingrained cultural and religious barriers. For many, these visions open the door to exploring Christianity and forming meaningful connections with Christian believers. Schenck notes that people who have these experiences often share similar reflections. I now realize how much God loves me. I've always believed that He desires to punish me. In Islamic culture, dreams and visions are often interpreted as divine communication. For Muslims who dream of Jesus, these experiences resonate deeply, conveying a message of compassion, love, and guidance that starkly contrasts with their previous understanding of God. These encounters frequently leave individuals questioning their beliefs and seeking answers in the teachings of Jesus, marking the start of a spiritual awakening. The transformative power of these visions has drawn attention not only in Iran, where the phenomenon is most frequently reported, but also across the Muslim world. Schenck believes that what is happening in Iran is part of a broader movement affecting the entire Islamic world. In countries like Afghanistan, secretive Christians face grave risks as they practice their faith under oppressive regimes. Yet, their determination mirrors that of their counterparts in Iran. This growing wave of conversions represents a profound and irreversible shift. Fueled by disillusionment with oppressive systems and a longing for spiritual freedom, more people are turning to Christianity despite the enormous risks involved. The regime's attempts to suppress this movement only underscore the resilience and courage of those who find hope in the teachings of Jesus. In the face of relentless persecution, their faith remains unshaken, offering a powerful testament to the transformative and liberating message of Christianity.
Iranians are growing tired of the Ayatollahs and a nation led by the empty promises of their...
The ever-present threat of Taliban persecution casts a long shadow over the lives of Christians in Afghanistan. The risk of exposure creates a pervasive atmosphere of distrust among believers, forcing them to navigate a constant fear of infiltration. In such a high-stakes environment, the decision to embrace Christianity carries the very real threat of death. Despite these overwhelming challenges, reports from within Afghanistan reveal a remarkable trend. A growing number of people are turning to Christianity. This movement is driven by an intense desire for a personal and redemptive relationship with God, which many find profoundly transformative. The courage of these new believers underscores the resilience of faith, even in the face of extreme danger. In Yemen, a similarly extraordinary phenomenon is unfolding. Studies suggest that the spread of Christianity in the country is occurring at nearly twice the global rate. This growth is particularly striking given Yemen's deeply rooted Islamic traditions and the ongoing humanitarian crises that have devastated the nation. For many Yemenis, the discovery of Christianity represents hope and renewal amid the relentless hardships of war and poverty. The message of redemption through Jesus resonates deeply, offering a sense of purpose and peace that transcends the struggles of daily life. Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabia, a nation long known for its strict interpretation of Islam, subtle but significant changes are emerging. For decades, the country rejected any form of religious plurality, maintaining an environment that was exceedingly hostile to Christians. However, recent developments suggest an evolving perspective. Todd Nettleton, a representative of the Voice of the Martyrs organization, observes that while challenges for Christians persist, the Saudi monarchy has begun to acknowledge the possibility of peaceful coexistence with Christians. This marks a dramatic shift from the rigid attitudes of the past. Even though the road to religious tolerance remains long and uncertain, these early signs of openness are encouraging for believers both within Saudi Arabia and across the region. The narrative of mass conversions to Christianity in the Muslim world has gained traction, amplified by social media. A viral tweet from conservative commentator DZA recently sparked widespread discussion, claiming that millions of Muslims are converting to Christianity. This claim ignited thousands of responses and fueled ongoing debates about the accuracy of such figures. An older interview from 2000 resurfaced during this discourse, featuring a statement by Islamic scholar Al-Qahtani that 667 Muslims were converting to Christianity every hour. This rate, according to Al-Qahtani, equated to 16,000 daily conversions and 6 million annually. While these numbers are undoubtedly astonishing, their lack of credible sources casts doubt on their validity. Despite these questionable statistics, anecdotal evidence suggests significant growth in Christianity among Muslims. Organizations like the Tide Ministry and the Voice of the Martyrs, along with personal testimonies from converts, highlight the increasing embrace of Christian faith in regions where it has historically faced severe opposition. For new believers in the Middle East, their spiritual awakening is seen as part of a broader movement of God's Spirit. This wave of transformation is not confined to individuals, but has the potential to reshape entire communities and nations. The impact of this spiritual revival transcends cultural and political expectations. In regions often labeled as Islamic strongholds, the Holy Spirit is breaking barriers and transforming lives. The universal message of the Bible, which calls all people to redemption through Jesus Christ, resonates deeply across borders, speaking directly to the hearts of individuals in every corner of the world. This movement is a testament to the profound and universal nature of God's love, which offers hope and renewal to those who have endured oppression, injustice, and despair. For many in the Middle East, the realization of God's unconditional love represents a revolutionary concept. In contrast to prevailing religious frameworks that often emphasize divine judgment and fear, Christianity introduces a God who is approachable, compassionate, and deeply invested in the well-being of His creation. This assurance of grace and forgiveness replaces the fear of divine punishment with a message of hope, freedom, and acceptance. For new believers, the shift from fear to grace is transformative, altering not just their spiritual outlook, but also their relationships, communities, and daily lives. This movement is not merely about personal faith. It is creating ripples across the social and cultural fabric of the region. In countries like Afghanistan, Yemen, and Saudi Arabia, the embrace of Christianity is challenging long-standing norms and assumptions. These spiritual transformations are fostering a new sense of identity and purpose, empowering individuals to live with hope and courage despite external adversities. The Middle East, long perceived as resistant to change, is now witnessing a quiet yet undeniable transformation. As more individuals accept the gift of salvation through Jesus Christ, the spiritual landscape of the region is shifting. This transformation is deeply rooted in a message of freedom, truth, and light that penetrates places long overshadowed by darkness. Even in the face of significant opposition, the love and truth of God continue to spread, softening hearts and inspiring hope where despair once prevailed. The courage of new believers is especially inspiring in light of the challenges they face. In regions dominated by strict religious laws, conversion to Christianity often invites severe repercussions, including social ostracism, imprisonment, and even death. Yet these individuals remain steadfast in their faith, driven by an unshakable conviction that their relationship with God is worth any sacrifice. Their stories of perseverance and faithfulness serve as powerful reminders of the strength and resilience that faith can inspire. In Yemen, the growth of Christianity amid the country's humanitarian crisis highlights the transformative power of hope. For those grappling with the devastating effects of war and poverty, the promise of redemption and renewal through Christ offers a beacon of light in the darkness. Similarly, in Saudi Arabia, the emerging signs of religious tolerance suggest that even the most entrenched systems can change. While these changes may be incremental, they represent a significant departure from the rigid ideologies of the past, opening the door to greater acceptance and coexistence. The role of social media in amplifying these narratives cannot be overstated. Platforms like Twitter and Facebook have become powerful tools for sharing stories of faith, connecting believers across borders, and inspiring curiosity about Christianity. While some claims circulating online may lack verification, the personal testimonies and grassroots reports that emerge from these platforms provide compelling evidence of a spiritual awakening in the Muslim world. At the heart of this movement lies the transformative power of God's love. For many new believers, the message of the Bible offers a profound sense of purpose and belonging. This sense of divine connection fosters resilience and hope, enabling individuals to navigate even the most challenging circumstances. In regions marked by political instability and social upheaval, the message of Christ's redemption brings not only personal healing, but also the potential for broader societal change. The spiritual shift taking place in the Middle East is reshaping lives and communities in ways that defy expectations. It is a movement rooted in love, hope, and the unshakable belief in God's power to transform hearts and nations. As this wave of renewal continues to spread, it serves as a powerful reminder of the universal call to redemption and the enduring strength of faith. In a world often overshadowed by darkness, the light of Christ shines brightly, offering freedom and salvation to all who seek it. When most people think of Iran, Christianity is not the religion that comes to mind. As the largest Shiite Muslim state in the world, Iran is deeply rooted in Islamic traditions, with its government enforcing strict religious principles. The Islamic Republic of Iran has built its foundation on the principles of Shiite Islam, maintaining tight control over religious expression and punishing dissenters with harsh measures. However, beneath this rigid exterior, a surprising transformation is quietly taking place: a surge in conversions from Islam to Christianity. This growing movement is reshaping the country's religious landscape and challenging the foundations of its theocratic regime. For decades, Iran's government has maintained an iron grip on religious practices, employing institutions like the morality police to enforce strict Islamic laws. The morality police have faced international condemnation for their severe measures, including an infamous case where a woman was allegedly shot for violating mandatory hijab laws. Such incidents reflect the oppressive environment in which religious conformity is mandated. Yet, despite these efforts, signs of dissatisfaction with the regime's interpretation of Islam are increasingly evident. An alarming indicator of this discontent is the decline in mosque attendance across Iran. Reports suggest that approximately 50,000 out of the country's 75,000 mosques have closed due to a lack of worshippers. Senior Iranian cleric Mohammad Abul Qasim has acknowledged this decline, attributing it to a broader crisis of faith among Iranians. This trend coincides with reports of a significant religious shift. An estimated 1 million Muslims in Iran have embraced Christianity. This movement, often referred to as the Jesus Revolution, represents a profound spiritual and cultural transformation. Studies conducted by the Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, and the international radio ministry The Tide reveal the growing wave of conversions to Christianity, signaling a deeper undercurrent of religious change within the nation. The reasons behind this surge in Christian conversions are deeply intertwined with Iran's political, social, and economic struggles. For many Iranians, Christianity offers a stark contrast to the authoritarian and punitive nature of the Islamic regime. While the government's version of Islam emphasizes control and conformity, Christianity presents a message of hope, love, forgiveness, and personal connection to God. These principles resonate deeply with those disillusioned by decades of oppression. Todd Nettleton of Voice of the Martyrs highlights that Iran faces some of the highest rates of drug addiction in the world, alongside widespread corruption and poverty. Over half of the population lives below the poverty line, further eroding trust in the promises of the Islamic theocracy. These systemic failures have led many Iranians to question the spiritual and moral authority of their leaders, creating fertile ground for exploring alternative spiritual paths. Economic hardship has been a significant driver of this dissatisfaction. Iran's economy has suffered under international sanctions, mismanagement, and endemic corruption. The resulting poverty and despair have fueled disillusionment with political Islam. A survey by the Netherlands-based Gaman Institute found that 80% of Iranians desire a democratic government, rejecting the current Islamic Republic. This widespread discontent has created an environment in which Christianity is not only seen as a religion, but also as a means of liberation, spiritually, socially, and politically. For many Iranians, Christianity's emphasis on compassion, forgiveness, and personal agency provides an appealing alternative to the rigid doctrines of the Islamic regime. Converts often cite the religion's focus on a personal relationship with God as a transformative experience. In contrast to a system that ties religion to political power and control, Christianity offers a sense of freedom and solace. The words of Jesus, such as those in Matthew 11:28-30, hold profound meaning for those struggling under the weight of systemic injustice. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. For many Iranians, these words are not just a source of comfort, but a bold promise of peace and relief from their hardships. In a society where oppression and hardship are part of daily life, the teachings of Jesus offer hope and a path to freedom. Unsurprisingly, the Iranian government has responded harshly to the rise of Christianity. Conversion from Islam is forbidden, and apostates face severe punishments, including imprisonment and even death. The government's crackdown on Christianity is part of a broader strategy to maintain control over its population and suppress dissent. Despite these risks, the movement continues to grow, driven by underground churches and digital platforms that provide spaces for worship and education. These secretive hubs enable Christians to gather, learn, and strengthen their faith in defiance of government restrictions. Todd Nettleton emphasizes that this growth is not merely a rejection of Islam, but a reflection of Christianity's unique appeal. The religion's teachings of compassion, forgiveness, and personal empowerment resonate deeply with Iranians seeking an alternative to the authoritarian regime. For many, turning to Jesus is not just a spiritual choice, but a deeply personal act of resistance against a system that has failed them. Christianity's rise in Iran is more than a religious phenomenon. It is a symbol of personal freedom and resistance against an oppressive regime. In a country where religion and politics are tightly intertwined, the act of embracing Christianity represents a desire for change on multiple levels. It is a rejection of the empty promises of the Islamic theocracy and an assertion of individual agency and hope. This movement is reshaping Iran's religious landscape, challenging the authority of its theocratic regime and inspiring broader calls for reform. The growing interest in Christianity aligns with the aspirations of many Iranians for democracy, human rights, and equality. As a result, religion has become a focal point for resistance, offering both spiritual liberation and a vision of a more just and equitable society. Iran's transformation is a testament to the enduring power of faith and the human spirit's resilience in the face of oppression. The rise of Christianity in the heart of the Islamic Republic reflects a profound cultural and spiritual shift, driven by a longing for hope, freedom, and connection. For many Iranians, the teachings of Jesus offer not only solace, but a pathway to liberation, challenging the very foundations of the regime that seeks to suppress them. As this quiet revolution unfolds, It is reshaping the nation's identity and inspiring a new generation to envision a future defined not by oppression, but by compassion, love, and faith. In the words of Jesus, it is a call to the weary and burdened, a call that many in Iran are answering with courage and conviction. Iran, a nation where the government's power rests heavily on strict interpretations of Islam, is witnessing an unexpected challenge to its ideological foundation. Christianity, with its transformative message of love, forgiveness, and hope, is quietly taking root among Iranians disillusioned by decades of hardship, corruption, and unfulfilled promises. This shift is not merely a spiritual awakening, but a profound statement against a system many feel has failed them. To choose Christianity in Iran is to reject the status quo, a bold act in a country where faith and politics are deeply intertwined. For years, Iranians have faced a host of challenges. Widespread poverty, systemic corruption, and one of the highest rates of drug addiction in the world have eroded trust in the government. Many see these struggles as the outcome of a system that promised justice and dignity through Islam, but has delivered little in return. In this context, Christianity offers a striking alternative. Unlike the rigid and controlling framework many associate with the state's version of Islam, Christianity speaks of a personal relationship with God, built on compassion rather than control. For those weighed down by the harsh realities of daily life, this message feels deeply human and accessible. The growth of Christianity in Iran has not gone unnoticed by the authorities. The Iranian government perceives this spiritual movement as a direct threat, not only to their religious authority, but also to the political system that depends on it. For the regime, Islam is more than a faith. It is the backbone of their governance. If people begin to find hope and meaning outside this framework, it undermines the very foundation of their control. In response, the government has cracked down hard. Underground churches are raided, Christian converts are arrested, and public expressions of faith are monitored closely. The regime's fear is palpable. They understand that the more people embrace Christianity, the more fragile their grip on power becomes. Yet, despite the risks, the movement continues to grow. Many converts rely on digital platforms and secret gatherings to practice their faith and support one another. This quiet, yet determined revolution highlights the resilience of those involved. For new Christian converts in Iran, the journey of faith is fraught with danger. Safe spaces for spiritual seekers, hidden house churches, and discreet Bible study groups offer refuge, but remain under constant threat. These small gatherings, often consisting of no more than 10 to 15 believers, take place in unassuming locations such as modest apartments or inconspicuous homes. As the final attendee arrives and the door locks, a wave of relief sweeps over the group. In these fleeting moments, they embrace the safety of their community. However, this fragile peace is often shattered by sudden raids. Authorities, executing military precision operations, storm these gatherings, targeting leaders who are seen as the linchpins of the underground networks. These leaders face severe punishment, including detention in facilities designed to break their spirit. Solitary confinement, torture, and relentless psychological pressure are wielded to force believers to renounce their faith and return to Islam. Detainees endure harsh conditions, cut off from family and legal aid, as they face vague charges such as acting against national security. Even after completing their sentences, their ordeal is far from over. The government continues to monitor their movements and communications, ensuring their lives remain under constant scrutiny. The new converts in Gaza are also becoming ambassadors of faith within their own communities. Their testimonies and transformed lives serve as powerful witnesses to the love and power of Jesus. They are sharing their stories, spreading the gospel, and bringing hope to others who are struggling. This evangelistic impact is reminiscent of the Great Commission in Matthew 28:19-20, where Jesus commands his followers, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. These men have become living testimonies to the transformative power of Jesus. Their courage and faith are inspiring others to explore Christianity and consider the message of Jesus. The impact of their conversion is far-reaching, extending beyond Gaza and touching the lives of people around the world.